Yo, what's going on, my fellow weebs? Chrono here, and welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to do a quick little progression guide video for you guys today, something I should have released quite some time ago, but I wasn't fully confident in my opinions that I had for the weapon itself when it comes to dual blades, as well as, I mean, perfectly honest, a lot of people kind of got to this before me anyway, but I make it a point not to watch a lot of their content, and then I did eventually, and there's some things I just kind of disagree with, and I want to go ahead and share with you guys when it comes to dual blades. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of it, and that way you can make your own decision at the end of the day. But keep in mind, a lot of what I'm currently going to say has been said previously in other videos. So if you've watched another video and you're like, hey, I already got the information I'm looking for, totally fine. Maybe toss a like on this one, help your boy out. Either way, let's go ahead and jump into what I think are going to be the notable pieces that you want to go after while you're going through your journey in Monster Hunter Wilds. So first things first, I'm going to start out with weapons. Now, it is purely up to you. It is your decision if you want to make different elemental weapons. I know it's fun for me to use different element weapons against different monsters, just to kind of vary up what I'm using or vary up what I'm seeing. But to be perfectly honest, you do not need to. It's not even like you don't need to, like you can run the bone tree the entire time. To be honest, there's another thing you can actually use that's really, really strong in Wilds. I'm sure if you've been following Wilds content, you've probably heard of it. Gemma's helping us out by hiding the monster names, that way you guys don't get spoiled by them, but some spoiling is going to happen. There's nothing I can really do about that when you're looking at a progression guide. I'll do the best I possibly can to the minimal amount of spoilers possible. But either way, what weapon am I talking about? If we go all the way down here, Lalabarina. Lalabarina has para dual blades. Para is extraordinarily powerful in Wilds. You can basically take para DBs through the entire game, from the beginning of Wilds all the way until you hit HR 41 plus, where it's going to be more beneficial for you to move on to Wilds' endgame weapons, weapon crafting system. There is one pivot point in low rank. So here's going to be your first like warning of a spoiler. If you don't want them, totally understandable. It's okay. If that's not something that you want to deal with, okay, no big deal, right? At a certain point, this is going to be near the one of the second to last zones you're going to go to. You're going to fight Ebony Odo. And when you can make these, make them and they will carry you through the rest of low rank. Basically, everything else is weak to dragon. You can use these against everything, and anything that's not weak to dragon, just use the para DBs. They have a good chunk of green sharpness. They have a good chunk of affinity. You have a good chunk of dragon damage. They look awesome too. I like that a lot. But at the end of the day, they will carry through the rest of low rank against the last few monsters you're going to be fighting, and those monsters are going to be weak to dragon, so they're solid anyway. Moving on, if you're curious about high rank, I'm going to give you a quick spoiler on high rank. Just keep upgrading Lalabarina dual blades. That's it. We're going to come back to high rank afterwards, after we do the armor set for low rank. We'll talk about high rank then, but you can just keep using the Lalabarina dual blades all the way up to HR 41 if you want to. That's pretty much it for weapons, at least for low rank. And going into high rank, let's go ahead and talk about armor. Okay, so armor here is really, really simple. All of the hope armor is really good. You get Divine Blessing. It's going to give you Divine Blessing 2, 3, 3. Divine Blessing 3. Pretty solid. At least these 3 pieces if you absolutely want to. And these 2 pieces will give you stun resistance. You can literally rock this through all of your low rank hunts. You don't have to change anything. The monsters do not hit you so hard that you have to upgrade this gear. You can if you want to. You do not have to. You can leave it exactly as is. The only thing I did different with dual blades is grab some bone armor. Bone Tacet, bone chest piece, and bone helmet will give you Marathon Runner. That with Hope Greaves and Hope Gloves will give you 2-point Divine Blessing. So you have Divine Blessing and Marathon Runner. Divine Blessing is really, really powerful in Wilds because of the way the armor system works, not to mention the fact that health boost is no longer in the game. So Divine Blessing, definitely a choice augment to go after. Definitely something you want to pay attention to and utilize when it pops up. And you could literally stick with this armor set through all of Wilds. You don't have to upgrade anything. The first time I upgraded anything was when I hit the point of, and again, spoiler warning, up to you if you want to hear this stuff. This is going to be towards the latter half of low rank. One of the very final zones you go to is until I hit Guardian Dushigama. He one-shot me in this gear. That's when I considered upgrading some gear. So I went ahead and upgraded like some of the stuff, honestly, with armor spheres. I kind of regret doing it, but upgraded some of the stuff with armor spheres to get a bit more extra defense. So solid, it's useful, and you can pretty much just skip it if you really don't want. I mean, if you're just better than me, you'll be fine. There are some notable armor pieces you can make in low rank if you really want to. So I'm going to go over those really quickly here if you really want to make them. Raidao is a really good set. It gives you latent power and constitution. I value constitution a lot more on dual blades now in Wilds just because you are dodging around a whole lot more. Dual blades dodge into attack actually has a lot of distance traveled, since dual blades new dodge gives it like a specialized dodge afterwards. So after you get a perfect dodge, you get, a chunk of damage as well as a new special dodge you can use from now on. And even if you're not in demon mode, if you have at least arc demon mode, you can spam that into an attack over and over again to traverse a large amount of distance, get all the way have some attacks, or basically get yourself into a safe position. So latent power and constitution both are pretty solid. Latent power allows you to get stamina reduction and some damage and affinity after you take 180 damage, I believe, or after 3 minutes has passed. I want to say that's what it's, either 3 or 5 minutes, one of the two. Both pretty solid if you want to. If you're going to be farming in low rank because you're waiting on someone, you happen to have time, or you just like farming in low rank before you move on to something else that's a bit better, maybe you're running into some problems with monsters, I'd say pick up Ray down. Pretty useful. Other than that, other armor pieces I say that are useful for you are going to be Guardian Rathalos. Guardian Rathalos has weakness exploit. Some people are sleeping on weakness exploit because they're like, hey, it's not as strong as it used to be. It's not just 50% off the rip. It's still really strong. Don't sleep on weakness exploit. I know it requires more points. I know it's not as strong as it was in the past, but mixed with some of the stuff that's going to be, you're going to be using in endgame, weakness exploit is a staple. It is much more powerful than people are giving it credit for. And you know this because if you watch any of the speedrunners or any of the high-end, hunters, they're all running it because it's still very useful regardless. They're running sets where they can fit weakness exploit in because getting affinity from other places is not very easy right now. Definitely don't sleep on weakness exploit. These two pieces are pretty solid if you really, really want to make anything from Guardian Rathalos. Again, you can skip him, but you don't have to. And you can stop and hunt that if you really want to. And the 2 points will give you the Rathalos Flare skill, which gives you a chance to deal additional fire damage when you land an attack. So pretty solid. Ebony Odo, also really, really good. Keep an eye on this helmet because it's something you're going to see in high rank as well. Burst. Burst is really, really strong. Burst allows you to get an extra bit of raw and element whenever you land 5 hits consecutively, and continuing to land hits continues to hold that buff. It continues to reset it over and over and over again. At level 5, you're getting a crap ton. You're getting like 120 element. It's insane. So burst is going to be one of your staple skills later. So we'll talk about it then. But I mean, we'll mention it then. We've talked about it now, but we'll mention it then. It's going to be something you're definitely going to want to use. So picking up 2 pieces of Ebony Odo are also pretty nice. Don't really need the set bonus. Honestly, just the helmet is fine. If you have space for the gloves, you pick up the gloves. But a lot of these armor pieces you're picking up are mostly going to be just because you need a bit more armor in low rank going up to the final monsters. Zuu is fine. It just gives you some stamina surge. Stamina surge is really, really nice due to the fact that you have the new demon mode that tells you to go in and out of your demon mode while you're in the middle of it, and having a point of stamina surge or a couple points of stamina surge helps you regenerate that stamina much faster when you're in between your demon modes and going out and in and all that good stuff. It's pretty cool. And that's it. Really, you don't have to worry about making anything else. Some people will say make arc veiled. If you're going to make some arc veiled in low rank, make the chest piece and the gloves. Everything else is not really worth it. You can get the helmet if you really want to, but I'd say maybe the gloves and the helmet then. Let's do that. I'd say that's fine. I say chest piece and gloves because it looks really cool, and looking cool is also part of hunting. It's really nice. But if you're looking at like kind of min-maxing, I think honestly the helmet and the gloves are kind of the 2 pieces that you want to go after, and that's pretty much it. And that's it for low rank. That'll pretty much carry through all of low rank. You don't have to worry about making anything else. And like I mentioned beforehand, if you're an absolute gamer, you could literally just stick with your hope gear and your bone gear, and that's it. You don't need to make anything else, and you'll be all set to go all the way through low rank. Now, let's talk about high rank. So high rank weapons. What high rank weapons should you worry about making? Well, I mentioned it earlier, and that still is the case. Just make Lullabarina. You don't have to worry about anything in a high rank. Just make Lullabarina all the way through. Yep. Even at the very, very end, make Lullabarina, and you're good. You can literally sit with this until you hit HR 41 and go into Wild's like proper weapon farm endgame, which is crafted weapons, which that'll be a completely different video all on its own. Or it'll be included with like, our guide when it comes to our build that we use. Yeah, you can just use Lullabarina. Just keep upgrading, keep using it. Don't worry about anything else at all. If you're someone who's like, I want to make elemental weapons, I like dual blades because I like, messing around with elements, so on and so forth. And then of the elemental weapons to make, here's what I would recommend. You can go Guardian Rathalos. Technically, there is a stronger choice. So if we go look at where is the other Rathalos? Am I blind? There it is. Yep, cool. Wyvern Lovers. Wyvern Lovers is just better Guardian Rathalos. Better slots, better affinity, better fire. I think it's a little bit less raw. Yeah, a little bit less raw. Actually, I think it's a little less affinity too. It is a little less affinity, but better sharpness, better deco slots, better fire. I would say go with Wyvern Lovers. Guardian Rathalos looks cooler, so you can use that if you really want to, but Wyvern Lovers is better. Water is gonna be the Gilded Sabers and the Master Sabers at the very, very end. Solid weapons, solid water, solid slots, solid sharpness, all good stuff. You're also gonna want Jindahad's dual blades for ice. Very, very powerful, very useful, very strong. As far as dragon goes, you don't really need to up the auto DBs at all. For your dragon choice, you're actually going to be using Gore Magala. Gore has really, really good duels, so I would highly recommend going for those if that's what you're after. That's pretty much all the duels you need to worry about. You're probably like, but you didn't mention Thunder. I know I didn't. They're terrible. Don't use them. Skip Thunder. They only go to blue sharpness. They're not really good. Basically, you don't really need them. Enemy that's weak to Thunder, you either use Para on, or you can use whatever the other elemental weaknesses that they have, because there's usually another elemental weakness that has hit zones that are pretty decent too. So don't get caught up on Thunder. It's not worth making. I mean, I made one, but honestly, I wish I hadn't. It's not very good. And that's pretty much it. So the high rank armor section should be a lot less yap. Pretty straightforward. I'm also going to make sure to remove Gemma out of the way so you guys can see stuff. Let's go ahead and go over high rank. High rank, pretty straightforward. We're not going to worry too much about explaining the skills because I've already explained them to you guys. We're just going to go ahead and talk about the armor pieces and go from there. You may want to make hope because you can actually, not only dye the gear, but you can also use it as glam. So you can also fashion hunter this gear if you really want to use it. So I'd recommend going ahead and making a set if that's something that you like. If not, not a big deal. If you're looking at it from a optimization perspective, the helmet is really good, and that's it. Moving on, if you want to make a beginning of low rank set, I would recommend the is it Balakuchi? I can't say this name. I'm just gonna screw it up, whatever. But anyway, you make the bug glasses for a point of weakness exploit. You make the bone chest, gloves, and tacit for 3 marathon runner, and you make the boots from Chadacabra B for another weakness exploit. You can also opt to make the chest piece from Chadacabra A for weakness exploit, so it gives you 3 weakness exploit instead of 2, and that's not bad. That's actually pretty solid. You can go with that instead. You lose out on a point of marathon runner, but that's not the end of the world. You gain a point of speed eating, which is actually pretty nice for survivability. And then you're chilling. Ignore everything else. Don't worry about anything else at all the way until you hit, where is he? Ebony Odo. Make Ebony Odo head, and that's it. Ignore everything else. Just make the head. You make the gloves if you want to. Make the A variant of the gloves for higher levels of burst earlier on, and then you're good. But I'd recommend just making the helmet and ignoring the rest. You can make the Zuwu's helmet. It's got adrenaline rush. This is like a future-proofing situation. You need to worry about making it during progression, but it's pretty nice. Ignore everything until you hit Rathalos. Rathalos 4-piece, solid. Gives you evade window, gives you adrenaline rush, which is damage after getting a perfect dodge, and gives you constitution, which I like constitution a lot on DBs. You're going to get coincidentally like 2 points of it from your endgame set, but I like constitution quite a bit since you do have to dodge around quite a bit on DBs. And after you get the specialized dodge for dodging through a skill, you can actually go dodge into attack over and over again to traverse a long way to get out of the way of some stuff. So it's actually pretty useful in my opinion. So I do like constitution, but that's up to you in the situation itself. If you really want to get the set, you totally can. You can skip it if you really want to, but it is pretty good to have. So Guardian Ebony Odo helmet, and then Rathalos everything else. And then we're moving on to our final set. This is like, you're done with everything else. You don't have to worry about anything else at all. There's also the argument you can go Blango 3-piece, by the way. Blango 3-piece will give you Agitator 5, which is pretty good since enemies are usually upset pretty easily. Pretty solid. You don't have to. You can do Agitator 5 with Blango 3-piece and 2-piece Ebony Odo if you really want to, or you can go the route of Rathalos. Either way, your choice. Skip everything else, skipping all the other stuff until we hit our HR 41 monster. So this is HR 41 plus, by the way. Anything before that, just keep what we just mentioned earlier. So HR 41, at the very beginning of HR 41, I would highly recommend making 4-piece gore. Reason for it is because the optimized sets that they recommend to you at endgame require quite a few decorations. 4-piece gore covers most of what you need. Make these 3 pieces for the A version of them and the boots for B, and you'll be pretty much set. This plus Ebony Odo will cover you for the most part, even without decorations. Of course, you're gonna want decorations. Even without decos, this will cover you pretty comfortably. For the most part, you can deco in things as you get them and kind of go from there. Now, for your end game set, after you have started farming, what you're actually shooting for and what you're actually going after is 2 pieces of gore. Gore B boots, as well as the coil. You're going to want the Ebony Odo helmet. You're going to want Guardian Arcvale gloves B and Arcvale chest B. That combination is going to give you pretty much everything that you need. So we can go ahead and put all these things on really quick. I think my charm is on currently, which is giving me 2 points of burst, I want to say. Yeah, 2 points of burst. You end up with weakness exploit 3, constitution 2, antivirus 1, and burst 4. So it's pretty nice. Well, I guess burst 2, not burst 4. It's pretty solid for your endgame set. And then you basically deco in everything else that you need. You end up decoing quite a few things. And that's something that we'll talk about in the next video when we go over our actual endgame sets with the Guardian weapons and what we're actually using. That's pretty much it. That covers everything you should know when it comes down to just what armor sets you're chasing after through the leveling process. You can stop and make whatever you want. Make any armor you like. It all looks awesome. But this is if you don't want to worry about making a bunch of extra stuff that you don't need and just kind of blitz your way through. And of course, like I mentioned beforehand, you can skip any step that you thought wasn't really useful for you specifically. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments below. Would love to read through it. Like if you enjoyed the video. So if you want to keep up with more. As always, thanks to channel members. You guys are fantastic and I appreciate every single one of you. And I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, my friends. Peace out.